In this episode, we celebrate the 4th of July and Independence Day, and we talk about freedom and the opportunity to have total freedom, time freedom, financial freedom, and personal freedom. We share with you how network marketing really can be the secret to checking off all of those boxes. And we share with you the difference between all three of those freedoms and what you might be experiencing in corporate. Hi, and welcome to this episode. I'm Kim.
And I'm Shari.
And today we're going to talk about something that is very timely because it is almost 4th of July. And 4th of July is all about independence and freedom. And one of the quotes that we love is, "Freedom means the opportunity to be what we never thought we would be." It's by Daniel Boorstin. And we want to talk about how living in that 9 to 5 sometimes stifles that freedom. And we're going to be specific in this episode about freedom in the sense of financial freedom, time freedom, and even personal freedom, something that some of us forget about. And so the first thing that we're going to delve into is really time freedom, because for so many of us, this is something that we're just craving: time to do the things we want to do, time to spend with our family, time to spend with ourselves. And we're going to kind of just delve into how corporate America, in our opinion, sort of steals that time from you, and how network marketing is really a place that can give you some time back.
So I'm going to start by just talking about the origins of the 9 to 5. And I found this really interesting because when Kim and I were talking about this subject, we're like, how did we even get to the 9 to 5? And so for all of you history buffs, I'm going to share a little bit about the origins of the 9 to 5. And prior to the 1900s, the average American worked over 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, and they took Sundays off for religious purposes. And then in, I believe it's like 1916, the railroads really brought it to everyone's attention that these 10-hour workdays are really too much. They were seeing a lot of deaths and accidents. And so railroad unions fought the railroads to have an 8-hour day workday. And the railroads, of course, said no because they didn't want a shorter workday. Well, Congress got involved and eventually a law got passed giving us the traditional 9 to 5 or the 8-hour workday. And what has evolved over the years, it was great for the railroads. It was great for any type of physical labor because you needed to have people there at the same time every day. They worked as teams doing all of the manual work. Well, as manual work has been replaced quite a bit through technology and we've become more knowledge-based in our work days, it's almost the exact opposite. We don't need 8 hours in a row every single day to do the same thing. In fact, we're living in a time right now that this is being aired. It's during COVID and people are staying at home. People are becoming a lot more productive working from home on their own time. But what has happened is, people that are in these knowledge-based technology industries, 8 hours in a row just isn't cutting it because we need our brains need a break. We can figure out what those best time chunks are where we're productive and then take a break, then go back, take a break. So that's a little bit of history about the 9 to 5. And we just wanted to talk about, corporate America tends to stifle our time freedom because no matter what type of position you're in, if you are working for somebody else, they control your time. You have absolutely no control over that.
And so, I started to really get this. It was really my first job right out of college. And it was in the PR field. And I hadn't started. I mean, I've been there a couple months. And my family, including Shari and my mom and dad, they got this trip to New York to see Phantom of the Opera, and this all expense paid trip. My parents were in the travel industry and I could go with them. So I asked my boss if I could take this Friday off because it was going to be over the weekend. And she said no. She thought that we were going to be really busy on Friday. And so I didn't go on this trip. And then I remember on that Friday specifically, we weren't busy at all. In fact, she was out of town and I was in this office by myself. And the entire time I was thinking, I hated not having the choice to be able to take off. And I hated even more having to ask because I knew that I could get all my work done that was going to happen on Friday. And I wondered to myself, like, why can't I work the hours I want? And in my opinion, I was like, I should just work until I get my job done. If my job's done early, I should be able to leave early. But that is not how corporate is set up. They are set up for the 9 to 5, whether you're busy or not.
Right. I mean, just think about how many times you may have gone into an office and the receptionist is playing solitaire on the computer because she has nothing else to do. I mean, I've run into that so many times. And, like Kim, having that corporate job, I would get my work done early. And then, just think about all the time that is wasted in an office, hanging out by the coffee maker or the copy machine in the old days, just chatting with coworkers. I mean, all of that is essential for socialization and for overall well-being. But as far as productivity, you're not getting a whole lot of productivity done.
And it's not just that time at work. Think about the time you spend commuting to and from work. And there's only 24 hours in the day, and it's way more than 8 hours. There's so many people that are doing 10 hours. They've got an hour or so commute. And really, one of like the catalysts for me to quit corporate was I was just tired of being tired because I was working so many hours. I had a big travel schedule. And so I was never catching a break and never having time for myself. And I even look at times wasted in the office. Like we had so many meetings that could have just been done with like one email. And then at the same time, I'll never forget, I was in an office. My boss was maybe 12 feet away, now that we totally know what 6 feet away is. And he would be emailing me all day long. I could literally see him from my office. I could wave to him. And I never understood, why are you wasting so much time emailing when in less time you could come over, talk to me, boom, done, instead of sending me an email, waiting for my response, sending an email back. It was such this time suck that I just really started to think about, okay, if I had more time, what would I do? And at the time, it was little things. Like I was like, oh, it'd be great to go work out at like 10. It would be awesome to go grocery shopping at 12, not on the weekend. Like I just wanted my time back to go to the gym, go grocery shopping, clean my house. I mean, little things that corporate was like robbing from me because I was forced to be working those hours and I really only had the weekends.
And I think that's one of the things about network marketing that appealed to both of us so much, is just having our schedules that we could create on our own and our own time freedom. And, for me, when I started my network marketing career, I had 2 little kids at home. So my time that I chose to work was when they were napping or when they were playing or doing something like that. I got to choose, and I chose to spend most of my time with my kids. And so that has been such a huge blessing, being able to be in control of my own schedule, having that freedom. I mean, right now I tell everyone I am so unemployable because I could never be told where I have to be, when I have to be there, how long I have to be there. I just love being able to schedule a coffee appointment or a lunch when I want to. Like Kim said, go to the gym. If somebody told me now that I couldn't go to the gym at 9 a.m. and I couldn't have coffee meetings or lunch meetings or go to a networking event, I don't know what I would do.
And I think it's really, I mean, all the freedoms we're talking about, it boils down to one word, and that word is choices. And we just, I mean, think about how many choices that you truly get to make for yourself and how many are being made for you. And I feel like the time is the biggest one that sometimes feels out of your control. Your boss is dictating, the time you have to work. And there's so many things that go into that. And so when I start to think about time, it is one of the biggest reasons why we both like, I just want my time back. I mean, I really just wanted time to just think about what I even wanted to do without being tired from, the stress and strain of being in corporate. Now, there's a lot of great things about, you know, corporate life for a lot of people. It was great for us for a long time, but things are different now. Now people are required to work longer hours. They have more responsibility with the same amount of pay, which really leads us to the financial freedom piece.
And this is something that is really near and dear to my heart because when we talk about freedom and equality, there's not always freedom and equality in the workplace when it comes to salaries. And I'll never forget. I mean, I've worked for several different Fortune 500 companies, but in my last company, when I realized that I was the only female doing my job, I had more responsibilities and bigger accounts than some of my male counterparts, but I made a fraction of what they made. I had no idea. I gladly took the job and the salary, and I didn't ask questions. My bad for not clarifying all that. But the fact is, I was not in control of my salary. I mean, I got a very small bonus that was based on effort. And if I was lucky, I got, a 2 to 3% raise every year. But it certainly wasn't freedom from the sense that I got paid what I felt I was worth.
And I think what happens is in corporate, there's these antiquated rules. Maybe they go back to the railroad, but it is okay, you're going to get a 2% raise and then you're going to get this raise. But there are caps, and corporate doesn't allow you just to, like Sherry say, really get paid what you're worth or paid on based your effort. I'm sure everyone here listening knows somebody lost their job and they're filling in. So now they're doing the job of two people, but they're getting paid the same. I have a good friend who's high up on the corporate ladder, and she's like, yeah, I just got a promotion. And I go, a promotion in title or promotion in monetary? And she's like, well, it's a promotion in title, but it's a lateral financial move. And I'm like, how is that a promotion, right? I mean, it's a win for the corporation because they're getting more work from you and you're getting paid the same. And I just started to think about, that is not how I want to choose. Again, back to choices. I want to be able to choose what I make. I want to choose how I make that. I know that if I work harder, I can get paid more, not harder to get paid the same.
Well, and I think the thing is, the longer you're with a company, you do get that cap that we were talking about. But if you're not satisfied and you ask for more money, they'll just find somebody else who will take it. And so there's never that security or that freedom of knowing that, yes, I have this great job. I'll be able to keep it forever and I'll be able to keep my finances growing and going. And, that stability and that loyalty from companies is no longer, the norm. It's really the abnorm.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the time freedom, the financial freedom, I mean, those were really why we both started, and once we started, I mean, having flexibility is very intoxicating. It is very exciting to be able to say yes to, things that you want to say yes to because you're not tied down to a time. It is very intoxicating to have that flexibility and be in control of your own schedule. And then I think knowing that you're going to be paid what you're worth, it is exciting because it gives you a chance to grow and test yourself and get rewarded. And I think the one freedom that neither one of us really thought about when we started our business was really personal freedom. And I can tell you that, for me, personal freedom is, being able to have a voice, being congruent to who I am. And, when I was in the workplace, I was showing up as myself, but I was also trying to be who my boss wanted me to be, who my coworkers wanted me to be. I mean, I'll never forget my last job before I left corporate was a position that was created for me. And for this company, it was a new position. First day on the job, I truly did not know what to do. I didn't know where to start or what to do, but I couldn't be authentic and say to my boss, where do you want to start? Because I know he would have been, well, that's why I hired you. And so I never felt that I could really be me because I was trying to be somebody for my coworkers, somebody for my boss, and I didn't get that personal freedom that I didn't even understand at the time.
Right. And personal freedom to me has a lot to do with personal development and personal growth. Because without that, then you don't really even know who you are. And, I'll never forget when I joined network marketing, they said, this is a personal development company disguised as a business. And I thought, well, I've had plenty of sales training. I've been with all these great companies, but I had never done the personal development. And the more that I thought about it is, corporations don't want you to do personal development. They don't want you to grow personally because you may outgrow them. And so being exposed to personal development, leadership development has completely transformed my life. And it has been, such a huge blessing that I love sharing this with others now and just, helping people become their best selves. And the only way that you can do that is through knowing who you are, like Kim said, and being your authentic self.
I think that personal freedom is such a hard thing to really think about, but think about how you're showing up at work. How are you showing up with your coworkers versus how you show up with your friends? And what would your life look like if you could be authentic all of the time? And maybe let's just say all the time isn't realistic. Maybe it's 85% of the time, but you get to have a voice. You get to be able to share your vision. And one thing about, corporate is there's never any time to stop and breathe and have a vision and set some goals. So you don't get that personal freedom to do that because, again, somebody else is dictating typically what your goals are. You're following the mission of a company. You're following, their rules and guidelines. And again, we both had great corporate careers, but we got to a point where I was like, wait, this isn't my vision. This isn't where I want to go. I'm doing what the company wants. And there's part of me that sees that, but I wanted time to really just think and develop what is it that I want. And I truly don't think we spend enough time thinking about this. What do I want? How can I make an impact instead of just being kind of impressionable? How can I make an impression? And how can I find my own voice? And that's what I love about network marketing is that you're really encouraged for that personal development that Shari was talking about, encouragement to find your voice and have that personal freedom and just imagine if you every day were going into the workplace not being judged, where people were cheering you on and had your back. What would that look like, especially if you couple it with time freedom and financial freedom?
And so as we approach Independence Day again and we think about our freedoms, that's our hope for all of you is that you really take some time during the holiday to think about what does freedom mean to you. And freedom means something different to everyone, obviously. And these three freedoms are really the pillars and the cornerstone of what network marketing offers. And that's why we're so passionate about it. We know that you can find some of these things in corporate America. And, like Kim said, we both had great corporate careers, but transitioning into network marketing has completely transformed all of these freedoms for us. And it has really allowed us to recognize what we do and what we don't want.
And I think, wherever you're at, you might really be wanting that choice of time freedom. It might be financial freedom, or we might have just raised some awareness to personal freedom. Think about which one is the most important and then start to make a plan or start to think about, okay, I am maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm a 5 when it comes to having that financial freedom. Think of how you can go from that 5 to the 7. how can you focus on changing your financial status so you can have more financial freedom? And then do it for each one and focus on whichever one really is your priority. That if you thought to yourself, gosh, if I just made X amount of money, I could do X, Y, and Z. I could start to feel free. I could start to do the things I want to do. Maybe it's if I could just have 3 more hours in the day to spend time with my family, then start there. And then if it's a place where you're thinking, God, I have been trapped in corporate. I don't even know what my voice is because so many other voices have been in my head. Start there and really do kind of pick one at a time. We think network marketing can really help with all three, but it's a process and you're going to learn as you go and develop those skills. But truly, when it comes to having that total freedom of choices, there's not a lot of options out there.
And so our hope for you is that you find your voice, you find your freedom, and that whatever path you take, you are truly living your best life.